The MLB postseason is going to be starting very soon, and as you see on the schedule in MLB 22, we have postseason flashbacks inbound in next BR program. So I want to go through our previous postseason content that we've gotten, give you an idea of what the postseason program will likely look like, and maybe take a guess at some cards that we'll likely see soon in MLB 22. Let's get into it. So in case you are brand new to MLB the Show and haven't played the postseason program, or just want a refresher, postseason cards are amongst the best that we get throughout the year. They aren't all the best usually, like they might not be finest level cards like we have in the end game part of the year, but they're very solid cards that are nearly God Squad worthy. A good majority of them are, at least. What you will see is a program for likely each round in the postseason with some really boosted cards from the best performers. So last year, for example, the first program we had was the wild card program. Each team got one card. Hey, see, we had some really good cards. And speaking of the time frame, this is the very first week of that postseason program. So this is just the first round of cards we got, and honestly, we got Chris Taylor, who was really stacked. Just about a year ago from the day, we got some dope postseason cards from just the wild card. So keep your eyes out on this program. We're gonna already start seeing some solid cards get added to teams. Are they gonna be the best? Probably not, but also I think content was at a different point last year. Right now, we have so many really good retro finest cards. I could expect these cards to start off being a little bit higher quality than we got last year. And as you see, each week we had a different set of cards. So for the division series, you got guys like Kike Hernandez, who I think is a very plausible guess to get a flashback this year, getting a nice 99 in the BR program who could play a lot of positions. And this card also got boosted because he had a really good postseason in general, so they boosted his power a little bit more. But we had some really nice cards starting the NLDS. Like, these cards were very much God Squad worthy, especially Logan Webb and Kike Hernandez. Also, there were some more, purposeful cards like Jock Peterson is a great bench bat, for example. So as you see, we have a lot of solid high 90 overall players, almost treated like what monthly awards would be. And normally what you would do to complete these programs is just do a bunch of moments. You just do moments and maybe a couple missions in regards to tallying certain stats or whatever. This year that would likely be PXP missions to do something similar, but this is actually a very efficient way to get a bunch of very good players on your team. And I assume that they're going to be dropping one each week. They're not going to make it super long to grind like some of the monthly award programs are. But since those programs are longer to grind this year, I wouldn't be shocked if they make it a little bit more work, especially if these cards are going to be better this year. And as you see, as we moved our way forward, the NLCS cards later October were incredible. So as we progressed through October last year, cards were getting better and better. Just 3 weeks, basically, after the first bit of the wild card cards dropped, we were getting high 90s overall relievers and hitters, and it was really nice to see. Not every card at that point made everyone's God Squad. For example, like Yordan Alvarez had a little bit low of defense where people didn't want to use him. He was bringing enough hitting to the table that made him very viable. And we had some really juiced cards like Jorge Soler. This postseason program last year brought some bangers, mainly in the bullpen, I would say. And definitely in some of the big hitters like Eddie Rosario, Kike Hernandez, Jorge Soler, Chris Taylor were really solid in terms of 99s. Also, this AJ Pollock, I think, was really nasty. He's actually a very viable guess for a BR program card as well. But what I'm interested in is this year, how good are these cards gonna get? Because as you see last year, a lot of these cards were very solid at the very minimum. But a lot of them probably wouldn't start on God Squads if they were gonna drop just suddenly today. Like this right here is the World Series program. These are the players we got at the beginning of November, so just about a month later into the postseason. Jorge Soler is good, but you compare the attributes to Gary Sheffield, for example. You'd argue that Gary Sheffield would be more valuable because Gary Sheffield brings more overall contact, max power just like Soler, better vision, and he's bringing better speed with similar defense in terms of the outfield. Soler's got a little better defense, but if this were a card that were to drop even like right now, this card may not start on every God Squad because outfields are pretty stacked. So the thing that I'm really interested in with this postseason program is with the current state of the game and content, how good are cards going to be attribute-wise? Like, are they going to be incredible this year? And then there was a collection that they added with a bunch of postseason cards. I feel like that's a part of the reason we're getting 2 postseason flashbacks in the BR program, because I could see at least a slim possibility add a postseason card collection, kind of like what the Kashi collection was with Babe Ruth and such. They could maybe add a collection for players like Corey Seager. I doubt they really bring this exact Corey Seager back from last year, unless, you know, they give him a different path like BR. That would make a lot of sense. But like, we got some really dope cards from previous years getting returns into this game. So maybe there's a shot that they have a collection or something in regards of postseason players as we're heading into these next couple weeks, because they are already dropping postseason flashbacks. We never know what can happen in that front. And I guess when you look at a God Squad at this current point in the game, it becomes tough because you see some really dope cards like Jimmy Rollins, Andrew McCutchen, Sheffield, Hank, Albert Pujols. Like in years past, we would have said without a doubt these are end game cards with the level of attributes that they bring, and they will be very viable in the end game. You start to think, like, how much better can players get this year? Like, how stacked are some of our end game players gonna be? And you look at all the players all around, like, these are all great cards that would be end game, especially in years past. Think about all the options we get. We have still at least 2 more months of content likely. We got all of October. We'll have finest cards likely in November. And, you know, we might get some content heading into December, kind of like we had last year with some extra event rewards. So since we're at the very last, like, portion of this game, how often are you going to throw end game cards on us? How soon will we get to that point where we see really dope cards? Are guys like Hank Aaron or Mickey Mantle, KontrolFreek Jr. gonna get cards that basically maxed out hitting on their base attributes? It's really tough to tell personally. So I'm excited to see what this content has in store, and keep an eye out on your God Squads and your rotation, because there will likely be a lot of change. Like, a lot of relievers will make their way out, especially if we get a lot of relievers in the postseason program. Guys like Randy Johnson may even make their way out of rotation and such here soon, because while Randy's very solid, there are going to be some players that bring better pitching attributes to the table, and you just might want to mix it up. So yeah, that'll be it for this video. Let me know, who do you want to see get a returning postseason card in MLB the Show 22? Like I mentioned, there are a lot of cool possibilities from just last year, and I'm excited to see what we get in store. Hopefully my Yankees can make a deep push. Speaking of Yankees, I'm going to be grinding 1/1 Topps Now Gleyber Torres, try to get him parallel 5 right away. I'll be streaming for a while over the next day or 2 doing this, so I'm gonna try to be the first one to get Gleyber, just like I did last year, and I'm really excited for it. But you all have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you all watching. Like this video if you enjoy these discussion type videos, and we'll be back again with another MLB the Show video tomorrow. Deuces.